Greetings and the best of salutations. Just want to deal with how can we raise one's level of expectations. Expectations. To see if this works here. Yes, I believe it does. Let's look at the definition of expectation. A strong belief that that something will happen. It be the case in the future. What sparked this particular expression was that I'm starting to see more and more of people who are that they finding out what do they have to look for. What do they have to look for? Um, is it that they, if it's not, and it deals with integrity too, is that their word, should become their bond. I realize this too, is that their word takes on, or one's word becomes their bond due to if something is offered to them materially. That takes a greater precedence um, over something that is not monetary. Yes, not monetary. A word becomes stronger if it's monetary. But seems as though that we do not look forward to um, more so looking forward to being about our word if it's not any monetary reward. We're looking for some monetary reward. And in this society that is driven by um, wealth and your success is measured by you obtaining that wealth. It invites all type of mischievous, underhanding, undermining, uh, involvement in this and obtaining the wealth, and it seems to give the individuals in his or her protege seem to give them the value, and they become guided by, because that what you are connected to is that what you are guided by. The favor that one has bestowed upon another because of their status and their power, their privilege, and their prestige. These are worldly standards, worldly standards. What I mean by the world, I mean this is the reality that comes out of the mind of people, and this kind of understanding, if you come from an environment where it's that you may not be used to having anything, and then now you start to have it. And not to mention, you may be used to having things, but yet you misuse and abuse it. You neglect it. You didn't think too much of it because you had much of it. How do we raise ones, merge those two together in the best of ways in our interacting one with another? Thankful for seeing this moment in time and being present. About hours ago, I was had a lot of anxiety for some reason, just don't know. And I just say that there is some conciliatory healing that needs to take place with me. Reconcile my differences that I have with myself, and overcoming animosity and distrust and the contamination of others that I try to stay away from, as much as I can. It's like the environment of which one lives in, and interacting with people. You look at the planets; they have a magnetic force around it that prevents anything from coming close to it that will contaminate it. So you can tell sometime when you start to feel a certain way, either the food that you consume and maybe too much of something that is not healthy for you with your eyes and even your ears. I'm just not trying to be out there. And some conversations you just can't have with people because this I'm sick and people are sick. I don't need no one to further sicken me with their illusions of grandeur and their self-aggrandizement. The manner and way in which they do business. Those things which we are acquainted with, what we have become acquainted with. And those things which we have accepted as if it is the norm, It says that all things work together. We know from experience. We know from experience that which we have been acquainted with and that which we are acquainted with. We know that it works. We know that it works. And that could be this meaning in two ways, looked at it in several ways. One, You can cooperate with things with the wrong attitude and the wrong people, and you see that you can continue to see people, and it works. But the heart ain't right. But then the heart is right, and then those things which you become, we know all things work together, come together for the good. It is this. We know experientially the experience that we have. So it's in raising one's level of expectation. It is in the orientation. Then it is in the orientation. It is in the orientation. Yes, how one has been, orientated. Yes, it's in one's orientation. It's in one's orientation. I realize that discipline precedes knowledge and orientation precedes education. Yes, raising one's level of expectations, raising one's level of expectation and your own expectation. A common occurrence that making case for the future of a prospect for change in what you have inherited. And we look at any systems you inherited something, and you be in the political field, you come a candidate, a candidate, but it is something that you have inherited, a candidate for change. So can you bottle, 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 can you bottle the date, candidate, the date, the time for change, What type of change? Change is a product of human effort, and that effort must be synthesized unto a useful purpose, Candidate for change, We're looking at something religiously, politically, economically, socially, academically, morally. What option, or what is the best option for change? And what type of change do we want? The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. The educated become more educated in a manner and way in which he or she uses education to manipulate. Politicians become more political, to use his office to manipulate. Religious leader use his or her office to manipulate. How do we, if we can, raise one's level of expectations? Once again, is in the orientation. Strong belief. Strong belief. Let's look at this cognitive model. Thoughts and belief. When an individual thinks or believes about a situation, how the individual interprets an event. So we need the correct interpretation when it comes to raising one's level of expectation. The prospect, strong belief for what one has inherited. What have you left behind? Who world have you changed? What impact you have made? The ripple effect. Whose means and ends, if I may use that word, the means that which you use to serve someone else's ends, because truth is the call that impacts the results of one's reality. Is it more substantive rather than symbolism? People seem to be locked in symbolism of power. It was something that transpired in one area where that the individual took someone's podium, I believe it was, and the manner and way in which they expressed it and how it was covered was like, they couldn't believe that. Well, people's lives are being taken every day. People are being taken advantage of every day. But the intellectual prostitution that has been done at the expense of continuing to fuel and feed the intense dissatisfaction of the people. That which has happened to you is covered, and it has more value than that which has happened to little Susie, little Joe, John Boy, Shaniqua. Because of you hold some office that privilege of power that that your when you go to the bathroom and that yours don't stink, Yes. And yes. So it's kind of funny, it's really hilarious, and but how can we, is that the intention to raise one's level of expectations to be a candidate change, or are we just playing the old con game? Situations, this cognitive behavior model. Anything that happens in an individual's environment, situations outside of the individual, direct control, but behaviors can influence them. There was a story about a gentleman who said that he taught brotherhood for a certain amount of years, and said to how do you change any environment or any environment is that you change first. You change your behavior, and then your behavior will affect others. Yes. Situations, I said we're born in a condition, placed in a situation, placed surrounded by circumstances, consequently due to some previous activity that has been taking place. Situation. Sit. Sit you. Sit you. Sit you. Yeah. Don't move. Sit you. Don't move. Sit you. Yeah, right. Behavior in this cognitive behavior model. The individual's outward response or actions in response to a situation. See, people are only responding to a way in which they think they continue to get away with. They sit in a spawn, a re is a reconnection or a ra. The light, based upon their knowledge base. And the attitude that they have about that knowledge and the usage of it thereof. Yes. A spawn. You know what a spawn is? Listen to the word is associated with a web. Huh? They're responding to that which they are creating and established is a web, a spider web, so that you can get caught in that web. But that web is only strong. Its strength is only strong enough, contingent upon the weakness of the that which it is trying to capture. Weak intellect. That's what I'm talking about. We have to strengthen our intellect, strengthen our resolve, strengthen our restraint. Yes, raising one's level of expectation. Yes. Yes, and that money, they has a web on it, Emotions, how a person feels about a situation. Emotions are not necessarily based on logic, but thoughts and beliefs influence your emotions. Thoughts and beliefs influence your emotions. This is taken from a book that I put out. Yes. Mental Constellation, the internal struggle and quest for social and economic change. I remembered the title without having to even turn the book toward me as it's facing toward you. Wherever you face, that's the direction which you're going. Yes, it is for sale, by the way. But yes, man, so it is this orientation, how we've been orientated and how we must take what we believe, or when belief versus knowledge, I should say, and when belief is taken to another level, when the element of reliance and confidence is brought into play. The reliance of confidence, the element of reliance and confidence is brought into play. Then we generally refer to that level of belief as faith. Think about it. Taking it to another level. Reliance, self-reliance, reliance, and confidence. The element. Energies and elements coming together. It's brought into play. You brought it in to play with it. So it is the experience then, huh? It is experimental. And we realize this here is this is learning grounds. This plane of existence, talking about raising one's level of expectation, it starts off with based upon one's orientation. It is experimental. The confidence, the reliance and confidence is brought into play, then generally referred to the level of belief as faith. So experiment becomes a common occurrence. And anytime you see a common occurrence, it takes on a form of a science. And when it takes on a form of science, you bring, because this is a learning environment. This is a learning environment that we are in. This universe is a learning. It is experimental. It's an experimentation. How can one go wrong? In this beautiful environment? I'm talking about intentionally. Because it's all based on your orientation. You have the wrong attitude about self as well as others, as well as this environment. You think that you can continue to get away with it without no repercussions, man. I just don't get it. So please, man, I'm not trying to be contaminated by that thinking. What people walk around are very robotic like machines, man. Can't think outside that which they have been programmed to think, because that which occupies the mind conditions the mind. That's the nature of the brain. So it is a programming process that we must become deprogrammed and debriefed. The battlegrounds is ideological. The war is psychological over one's philosophical views. Not to mention how the brain cells is constructed to think correct. So we are in competition rather than a cooperation. So we are cooperating with the wrong type of attitude and under the wrong influence that is influencing us. That put us, we look at each other as opponents and put each other at odds with one another. Not to mention the furthering of illicit drugs and what have you that comes into play. Not to mention the misuse of the devices of media, press, and television. Not to mention of the tongue and the language that we speak. Not to mention of the use of our limbs, our hands. Not to mention, we say our thinking, being the misuse of our faculties. We must raise our level of expectations to become genuinely, sincerely, and honestly humans, people of change. And I'm talking about egalitarianism, leveling this playing field. Going beyond race, going beyond class, going beyond gender, going beyond economics, going beyond politics. Okay, if he's what they call black or white, that doesn't mean anything. Male and female, what does that mean? When the human being is here to be productive, to work in concert one with another for the betterment of humanity, not so that your immediate condition has been taken care of. But go back then, huh? Reach back. Don't help him or her because he is a he or he is a she or he is black or he is white. Help for the betterment and the development of one's intellect, for the betterment of humanity. Playing these games, the first this, the first that, man, those manipulating techniques have been exhausted, man. So it is the thinking and the attitude, the orientation, the thoughts, the belief, the emotions, the conditions, the situations, the environment, the behaviors, the logic, the emotion, the determination, the wherewithal, the ingenuity, the continuity, the confidence, the decency, the respect, the honor, the dignity, the integrity, the compassion, the love, the peace, and the understanding that we must have in respect one for another, that will raise one's level of expectation. Become a true champion for change. Common humanity mission. Give to the gift for social literacy. Promoters of the value of self-worth through 5 channels of communication: understanding, tolerance, temperance / temperament, confidence, and respect. And cultivators, mandate is to cultivate the potential of knowledge that is in us all. Mission is to promote the value of self-worth. Always say give to the gift for social literacy. The Cash App is CH Mission. Donate $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100. The website is seehumanity.org. In closing, in the words of, I believe it was Buddha, I always like to say, all that we are is all that we possess, is the result of thought. In addition to that, in the words of Einstein, he says that the same level of consciousness that created the problem won't solve the problem. Words of Elijah Muhammad, I believe one of his students said that vision stems from the source of one's thinking. In the words of Imam Warren D. Muhammad, happiness is the joy that you feel when you are in pursuit of your potential. And as I always say, we are here to reach our full potential, to move from sympathy to empathy, and eradicating and eliminating the spirit of apathy. As I always say, adequate cooperation leads to proper communication, and that's how you effectively coordinate your power. In the words of Dr. King, We must move from an orientated society to a thing orientated society to a people orientated society. Whereas a Kwame Ture, the duty of the conscious is to make the unconscious aware of their unconscious behavior. In the words of Ella Baker, no strong people need no strong leaders. Don't be deceived by them. We need to make each other stronger, strengthen our resolve. The words of Sojourner Truth. They said, Sojourner Truth, we care no more about you than a flea bite. She said, the Lord willing, I keep you scratching. In the words of humanity, Hu Adamah, the earth has an appetite. The hue is the carving out in existence. Man, potential. It going toward something. Its aim is accountability. The T is universal for all. The north, the south, the east, and the west. Carve out in existence, man, potential. It toward something, accountability. This universal understanding. The T, the four corners of the universe. And this we must understand, that the universe speaks one language. That is the language of frequency. Until next time, talk to you.